Dad, welcome back to Ghost Travelers Podcast. How have you been?
I've been outstanding. I've been pretty busy since the last time I've been on the show. Um, as many people probably don't know, I retired, so I'm no longer working. So retired from the Air Force, and I finally retired from the federal employment. And since retiring, right at that time, it was the end of 2019, and so COVID struck right around that time. And Mom and I decided to sell our home in Wisconsin, and we hit the road. We went full time RVing. And matter of fact, the listeners, if they want, they could look up Adventures with Arrow, and you should be able to find that on Instagram, and take a look at Facebook, Adventures with Arrow, and it shows kind of some of the places that we've been. We went from the east to the west and everything in between.
So, if you could say, what was your favorite location that you guys visited on your travels?
Wow, there was a lot of beautiful places, but I would have to say Arizona was really nice. The Grand Canyon uh, was beautiful. Just we stayed at one place. It was like an Indian reservation, and they had an own canyon. It was really kind of cool. Yeah, really loved Arizona, but there's just so many favorites. We stopped at a lot of vineyards and a lot of places that made bourbon, so distilleries. We had a great time, and we finally, traveled around, and we decided to pick up a home base again, and we're in West Virginia right now.
So, do you think you guys might, in the near future, when I move up there in West Virginia with you guys, do you think you'll still continue on traveling?
Yeah, I don't see how we're ever going to get rid of that bug. Now that we've got it, we love it. We want to get out. As you know, your um, your brother Seth is located. He's separating this week. Matter of fact, he's retiring from the Army, and he is returning back to Wisconsin, uh, Platteville, Wisconsin, and he's going to call that home. So, of course, we want to travel, making our way from West Virginia back to Wisconsin to see Seth, and then to see my dad up in Superior, Wisconsin. Also, my brother James is up in Superior, Wisconsin. And as you know, Aunt Katie is in Minnesota, outside of Minneapolis. So there's still a lot of places to make our way just yearly, just to see everybody.
Yeah, most definitely. And it sounds like a lot of fun. If you could, can you say your Facebook and Instagram again so if somebody wants to keep tabs on your adventures?
Well, you can look at my name, Patrick Kilgore, and you'll find two things on Instagram. You'll find our Adventures with Arrow, and then you'll also find Ghost Travelers Podcast is also located on Instagram. I'm no longer on Facebook, but Amy, my wife, maintains a page on Facebook, and that is also our Adventures with Arrow. So there's two spots for it: Instagram and Facebook for it.
And with the links that you just mentioned, I'll put them in the bottom of the description of this podcast. And when we get done with it today, and when I post this video, and it will be easy for our listeners can find it.
Well, yeah, and the nice thing is getting back to travels. It's nice to settle back in this area. Our listeners and followers might know that you and I are originally from this area.
Yep.
We lived in Purcellville, Virginia, for like 6 years while I worked in Washington, D.C. And we had a paranormal group, and it was called Loudoun County Paranormal Group. That was our first organization that you and I had together.
Mm-hmm.
Loudoun County Paranormal Group was fairly well known in this area. Then, of course, we moved, and while we were out in Wisconsin, we changed the name to Ghost Travelers just because it didn't make any sense to have our name being Loudoun County Paranormal Group. Not many people could relate to that. And also, you and I were doing more shows on the road, going to conventions and getting our name out there a little bit more. So we wanted something that was not just related to a certain area. So we got rid of the county, Loudoun County, and we wanted something that could be generic and brand ourselves. So that's why we went with Ghost Travelers. And now that we're back in this area, we're going to keep that term, that name Ghost Travelers. And I think it'll suit us well.
Yeah, and I think so. And also throughout the years while we're living here, we've decided that we want to branch out and go to some of the conventions here to re-promote our team.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had a blast at some of the conventions, and we got to know a lot of people, a lot of other investigators, individuals who have been on the networks, with their own shows, individuals who had their own podcasts and radio shows, and some mediums. And we got to know a lot of people, and the world is small. We'll still run into these same individuals that we call friends at these conventions, out here, in Gettysburg and some of the other surrounding areas. So, yeah, and to get our name out a little bit more here. And I think it's really going to help. I don't know if you told your listeners yet, but PJ and I are now new family members for TAPS. And Patrick, PJ, why don't you go ahead and explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so just recently for the state of West Virginia and part of the Northern County, Virginia area and some nearby states, we just recently became the family members of the West Virginia area for TAPS/Ghost Hunters on the Travel Channel network. And we're very excited to be working along with Jason, Steve, and Tango. And hopefully soon we'll get some cases flowing in from the case manager with TAPS.
Yeah, to make that a little bit more clear, so West Virginia is our state. So if an organization or an individual got a hold of TAPS and they were having some maybe paranormal issues and they wanted somebody to come out and investigate, they would refer that case to Ghost Travelers to handle it for the state of West Virginia. And like PJ was saying, some of the other counties right next to us here on the Virginia side.
Yeah, we're very excited to start working with our new additional family with TAPS, I would say.
And looking back, we've been doing this now for years, PJ, for years. And you can see how, when we were doing it, really there was only one show on TV, and that was Ghost Hunters. And that has led to just an explosion of all these other shows that have come and gone and come back again, on TV, and all of the new equipment that is out there. There's so much more different equipment than when we first started out.
Yep.
And it really kind of makes me think, throughout all the years, what are some of the tried and true methods of conducting a paranormal investigation, especially when it's considering for a haunting? And I don't know about you, even with all the different equipment out there, for me, I love the K2 meter.
Yeah, most definitely. Since we've been doing it since the fall of 2009, we had the K2 meter from the very beginning, and we had really great evidence from the K2 meter. Like, if you don't know what the K2 meter is, if you've seen it on the Sci-Fi Channel when it was first aired on Ghost Hunters, Jason DeGrant's been using the K2 meters for like yes and no questions, like 2 blinks for yes, 1 blink for no. In reality, the K2 meters basically for an electrician person to sense for use the meter to find cables in the walls, and and I think it was like Chris Fleming decided to try to use it as a good piece of equipment for investigations.
Yeah, and the theory being is that I think it's pretty well accepted now that uh, we realize that everything is made out of energy. Really, that is what we are as individuals. And when energy doesn't die, so when we pass in some form or another, our energy is going to continue on in whatever form, depending on your belief, religious beliefs or whatever, that energy is going to exist. And so the theory is that you could use that K2 meter to see if there's energy that's not related to, power lines within the walls or something running below, underneath the floor or something like that. And to be able to detect possibly spirits, and for us, it's worked pretty good. Now, can we definitively say that it's a ghost per se? No, but we know it's something unusual that we get really good responses, as in we use it, as you said, for yes or no, or just detecting something that's in the area. And especially what I really get a kick out of is when we're in the woods or in a field, especially out in Gettysburg, where there aren't any power lines, above you or below you, and you're getting major hits on the K2 meter when you think you're communicating with a spirit.
Yeah, most definitely. So, what do you think? What do you think is one of your most favorite fond memories of using the K2 meters on our investigation throughout the years?
Wow, I mean, we've had some really good ones. If you recall, remember we were in Gettysburg and we were staying at the Farnsworth House.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the folklores there is that there is a small child that is haunting the Farnsworth House.
Jeremy,
and
I believe.
So, yeah, Jeremy. And we had a plate of cookies. I believe it was sitting on a bed. Was that where we had it? And we lined the bed up with some K2 meters, and we asked Jeremy, or we invited Jeremy, go ahead and grab a cookie at your convenience. They're there for you. Go ahead and grab some. And all of a sudden, you could see from the circle of K2 meters, like something was going through it. So it would hit one side and go, and pass all the way through, and the different K2 meters would light up. And I think that has probably got to be one of the craziest responses that we saw. And the circle was probably about maybe 18 inches. And we had a number of K2s. We had some other people there with us that let us use their K2 meters as we set it around. And that was really exciting. What about yourself?
No, I do remember that investigation. It was, I believe it wasn't in the bedroom where we stayed in, and I believe it was in the dining room area that we had the K2 meters in the circle on the table. And
you're
then
right, you're right.
And we had it on the plates. No, but I would say, and that was our very first, I would say, investigation using the K2 meters. And I do believe that that's one of my favorites. But just recently, we just got back in December from going to Gettysburg. And I think my favorite experiment with the K2 meters is when you believe that you cross over a few spirits over when you were holding the K2 meter in your hand, and it was like going like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, is that episode been posted up on?
Yep.
That up on YouTube? Yeah. So for those who are listening, go back and check it out on YouTube. And just to kind of set the scene up, we were in Gettysburg, and we were in the woods, right on the line of property from being woods separating from the backside of
East Cemetery Hill.
Yeah, East Cemetery Hill. And while I've been out and about since I retired, one of the things that I did is that I studied and became a Reiki master. And so, what I was doing in the woods this last time is that I was projecting in my mind a shield of light filled with love, happiness, and security. And I was inviting, if there were any Civil War soldiers from both sides of the struggle, the Union and the South, to come into the light and to cross over. And when we did that, when I projected that energy out, the K2 meter I had in my hand just maxed out. I mean, it was maxed out, and it was doing it the entire time that I was working with energy. And that, you're right, that was pretty exciting. And I believe I kept asking a couple times, "Are you getting this?
Yeah.
Are you filming this?"
And I think it lasted, what do you say, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes at least, like pegged out on red at least.
It did, and it did it only while I was working with energy. And as soon as I stopped, the K2 stopped, and it was pretty compelling that it was measuring the energy that I was filtering out and inviting the spirits to come in. So yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, you got a good choice there. That was a good one too.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. And if anyone's curious to watch that episode, the episode is called Return to the... I believe it's called Return to the Grove. The Grove of Gettysburg, I think it's called. And we were saying it's just right next to East Cemetery Hill in downtown Gettysburg, basically right next to a school, and it's like one of the most active spots in Gettysburg, I believe. From all the years that we've been there, we got amazing things.
So, PJ, we mentioned the K2 meter, and we've got, for those that have maybe seen it on some of the YouTube shows that we've done, we've got several cases of equipment that we bring with us, pretty much ranging from anything you can think of. But besides the K2 meter, what do you think is your second go-to piece of equipment?
Ooh, that's kind of tough. I would say my second piece of equipment would be the digital recorder, because it's like, so the digital recorder is a little device that you can record spirit voices. Is electronic voice phenomena / EVPs, and I believe this is like the best equipment that you can just buy from Walmart, Best Buy, any of the store brands, to get a piece of equipment, because you can hear the voices from the past. And it's very interesting on listening to the voices, because you can hear like their accents sometimes in the voices. You can tell by their personalities, the voices that you capture, and sometimes you can hear them very crystal clear, like how we're talking now. And I think that's like my favorite piece of equipment, and I carry it everywhere I go when we go on investigations.
You know what? Yeah, I would have to say that is definitely probably the most productive thing that somebody could purchase for if they wanted to get out there and do their own paranormal investigations. And the amazing thing is, you don't have to go out there and buy one. It seems like everybody has got one of these days, and you already pay anywhere from $500 to $1,400 for these cell phones, and they're an amazing piece of equipment in itself, and you can do recording on those. But I tell you what, nothing beats the feel of having a small digi in your hand and playing it back, and huddling around it and see if you picked up anything. And man, we've picked up some great EVPs. You know, EVPs using the digis or our phone. And we've gotten some really good stuff that it's hard to argue that that it's not paranormal.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like peering through the back of time, just listening to those voices from the past, eh?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, you love it. You can't beat it. And once you know, for somebody one of the first times, you know, if you're going to go out there and try it, and once you get your own EVP that you've recorded, I think you're going to be hooked because it's so exciting to think that it's a disembodied voice, and you're either going to pick it up in one or two ways. One, you're going to hear it yourself physically, and you're going to catch it also on your digital recorder, or it could be your video recorder. You mean different formats of catching EVPs. Or the other one is you're going to catch a voice that you didn't hear. You're sitting there and you're filming or you're recording, and at that time, your voices might come on there that you didn't ask a question to, and you just happen to catch it, you know, and that's amazing. That's very exciting.
Yeah, most definitely. Again, the same question from before as the K2 meter. Um, what would you say is like one of our best evidence for EVPs, electronic voice phenomena?
Oh, man, we've gotten some good ones. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's some really good ones, you know, but let me deflect, you know, to change it because there's so many good EVP ones. And let me ask you, what do you think is one of the biggest errors somebody can make when they're attempting to catch an EVP?
I would say whispering. Whispering it. So if you're like in a group of people, like maybe like 3 or 5 people, and if you hear somebody whispering or if you don't catch it in time, and there's this thing that Ghost Hunters taught us to do when it was the only show. When it was the only show on, they taught us how to tag your surroundings when you're doing an EVP session. So if you hear someone walking, you tag it. If you hear somebody whispering or rubbing your thumb over the microphone, you say, "Oh, that was me." And I can't tell you how many times that some other people mistakes not tagging it, believe it's a disembodied voice.
Yeah, on those lines, the best thing you could do as an investigator is to take that digital recorder or the phone or whatever you're using and set it down and let it record from there so you're not fidgeting with it in your hand. You know, for me, I would say one of the most common errors that we've seen other groups do is that they just ramble on. You go to ask a question and they don't give any time for the spirit to respond. And they're just like they're having a conversation. You know, they just keep going and going, and then they wonder why they didn't capture anything, you know, because they just don't give time for the spirit to respond. You know, I would suggest at least giving it 10, 15 seconds before you even think about going and asking another question. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I believe too. What I usually do when I'm by myself investigating, I wait for maybe like 30 seconds or maybe 20 seconds to give that spirit a little bit more energy to gather up to speak or something.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we've seen it too many times. You know, where they just they just move on, you know. And you got to think about it that if you're getting good communications that night, either they're doing activities like you hear knocking, or they are communicating with you, either responding to the flashlight or tagging the K2, that they're expending a fair amount of energy, and it takes them a while maybe to gather more energy to be able to respond back to. They might want to communicate, but you're just not giving them the time to gather that energy to answer you.
Yeah, most definitely.
So here we are. We're rolling into February. What do you see us doing this next year?
Well, this year I'm planning on having a few more, looking around for a couple of cases around our area to go out and investigate. But honestly, I'm not too sure. I want to go out there, do more conventions, to meet very new people that's getting into the paranormal field, and hopefully going back to Gettysburg, since we feel like home there. What about you?
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to see what new investigations that we will pick up through referrals, helping either families or businesses out. And then I always look at it as practice. When you go as an investigator, you go to a known haunting, that's just, improving your skills, your craft as an investigator, like going to Gettysburg or paying money to go into a haunted location, supposedly haunted location. And I'm sure we'll get out and we'll do some of that, But one of the things that I enjoyed when we were in Wisconsin, that you opened up our group and you took in 3 individuals, and we had them, as individuals that were learning, how to be investigators. Do you think that you'll ever do that again?
Yeah, most definitely. The friends that I have here that I made before we left to Wisconsin, they're also into the paranormal, because I think I kind of dragged them along with me, and then they became more open to it, and they want to learn more, and I would like to tag them along, bring them along with us on our investigations and stuff like that. And I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. There's a lot that goes into trying to teach people who are interested in this field, on doing it right. But I'm always hesitant on if we're going into an investigation that we're requested to look at a home or a business. I just sometimes I just don't think that maybe is the appropriate time, to take someone fairly new. Maybe after a year, bring them into a situation like that.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah, most definitely. For the people who are out there, we would like to know what's your favorite equipment. What kind of equipment do you guys bring on your investigations, or just going out on ghost hunting tours and stuff like that? And if you have a favorite piece of equipment, just comment down below, and we'll say on our next video of this person's favorite equipment is. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'd like to talk about that. And there's different forms of getting a hold of us. They can either message you here on the YouTube on below, and we also have an email. You can email us at ghosttravelerspodcast@gmail.com. And you also have a Ghost Travelers email one too, right?
Yep, it's ghosttravelers, the number 9 at gmail.com. And also, I'll be putting our website down here in the bottom of the description for if anybody would like to check it out. And also, if you have an equipment that if you have a suggestion that we should talk about or anything like that, put it down in a comment, and we'll look it over and we'll make a video on that equipment.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we talked about today was like what we're going to do this upcoming year. You know, where some of the places we want to go. Uh, Jordan Springs would be a great one. But if any of our listeners have some ideas, you know, I would encourage them also to shoot us a message and let us know. You know, maybe what are some of the places that you've gone to right around um, Winchester, Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, this area, you know, going out 100 miles or so. What are some of the areas that you've done investigations that you think that maybe we haven't been to and that we should give it a try?
Yeah, and I think that would be a lot of fun as well. Like, one of our listeners or YouTubers puts a comment down below, and we'll be more than happy to check it out, and we'll make a video like what we're doing now, and we'll discuss and share with you guys what we find.
Well, PJ, I've enjoyed this time. How did you think it go? Do you think this is something that you would like to do again? Maybe do every other week or every week? What would you like to do?
Yeah, I think this little video that we're doing right now, I think, and also audio format, I think we should keep on doing it. Like maybe produce, maybe once a week or something. Like maybe for the weekend, like on Saturday or something like that.
And it, it would only be better if our listeners, if you want to contribute and give us some topics that you would like us to discuss. We've been doing this now for years, you know, and we would be happy to talk about any subject you would like, you know, involving ghost hunting or cryptids or anything else involving the paranormal, you know. So any suggestions, you can help us make this a better show by just letting us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, then comment down below, or like Dad said, message us on Facebook or Instagram. Well, everyone, I like to say thank you for watching and for listening. Take care and travel safe.
Until next time.
Okay, Command Shift 5.